farmers are accustomed to facing challenges from weather and commodity prices to land values and estate planning. Senator Bill Weber is leading the charge to make some property tax adjustments to aid farmers in the generational transfer of the family farm, and he joins me now. Welcome.
Good to be here. Thank you very much.
When I think of a family farm, I think of a very bucolic setting, like my great-grandparents' farm in Iowa. There was a little bit of everything, some corn and beans, some cows and pigs, and a shuffleboard court, which I loved as a kid. But for the most part, I think that's a memory. What do successful family farm operations look like today?
Well, certainly there's a wide variety of family farm operations out there, but I think it's safe to say that in most instances, they're probably larger than what you remember them being. They've either enlarged in terms of the amount of land they farmed or in the amount of livestock they produce, and in some instances both. I would also say that we have many instances where you might have had, Grandpa had his farm and he put his son or daughter on a farm and vice versa. But now, there's a much larger operation where they're farming together, quite frankly. And sometimes I have introduced certain bills that people said, well, where's the family farmer on this? Well, the family farmer is now a part of a larger group, and they may have an LLC or an LLP, but it's still a family farm operation, and you have many family members involved. And so the structure, the operation itself has changed considerably since you were visiting your grandparents on the farm.
Yeah. So one of your bills would raise the first tier valuation for property tax to $2.5 million, which seems like a lot of money until you consider the value of the land. So how have high land prices impacted farmers' wealth and their ability to pass the farm on to the next generation?
Well, certainly the increase in values increases wealth, but it really does nothing to helping provide cash for their everyday operations. And so as values go up, so do real estate taxes, which then cuts into the cash flow. And I think it's important today to remember that right now we're seeing some recovery in our commodity prices, corn, soybeans, especially. And so people say, wow, that's quite a recovery. However, we see fertilizer costs that are tripling. We see our seed and chemical costs, which is more than doubling. And I had a farmer tell me yesterday that, quite frankly, his margin is smaller today with these substantially higher grain prices than it was in 2006. And so when he had $2.50 corn, and just because of the cost of inputs. And so, one of the purposes of raising the ag homestead exclusion is to at least afford some measure of relief in the property tax situation. I think that the Department of Revenue's estimate is that would reduce real estate taxes on the average unit for about $1,200.
I visited the University of Minnesota Extension website on maintaining farmland homestead classification, and my head began to spin about 4 townships and 4 this, and it was really interesting. The other bill you were sponsoring is fairly technical, but is intended to help with modern farm succession. What are some of the problems that people are facing?
Well, what we saw is that in today's situation, you might see the establishment of a family trust, or you see, as I mentioned, a family farm, a corporation, or a partnership, and thereby, because different entities were operating it, but a different entity owned the property, yet it was still the same people involved in both entities. We were seeing people lose their homesteads. And actually, I had a bill a couple of years ago that dealt with that issue. This bill is sort of cleaning up some loose ends from that to make sure that the Department of Revenue understands that this is what we intend, that they get full benefit of their homestead exclusions, regardless of the nature of their operation and ownership structure, so to speak. And so now, in terms of farm succession, Yeah, that is a major problem. When I was serving as the chair of the Ag and Housing Policy Committee, I also then served as a Senate representative on MALC, which is the Minnesota Agricultural Leadership Council. That involves a lot of our ag teachers. It involves a lot of our farm management personnel from our MINSCU campuses that provide farm management assistance to farming families. And the transfer of the family farm to the next generation is a major problem. And escalating property values do nothing but hurt and exacerbate that problem. Currently, Minnesota's estate exclusion is $3 million. It actually doesn't take that large of a farm operation to be valued at $3 million today, and yet it's not a large farm operation. Right now in my home county, the right farm, that could be less than 200 acres. And that was probably similar to your grandparents' size farm,
yes,
to be honest about it.
Yeah.
And so it is a real substantial problem with that transfer, particularly when you start to have a number of generations that are still involved in the operation, so to speak. And therefore, it necessitates these different structures, be it trusts, be it LLCs, be it LLPs, in order for them to help transfer that property and have a mechanism whereby the next generation doesn't get hit with this huge cost all of a sudden.
Well, and that brings up something you mentioned in committee. You called it the Prince Charles scenario, where the owners of the farm are quite elderly and maybe a son or daughter has been actually doing the bulk of the farming work for many, many years, but now there's a grandchild who is ready to take over. Is this more common than we might think?
It is. I think it's maybe going down somewhat, but no, it is still fairly common. A lot of it depends on the individual attitude of the farmer. Some people, as they start to get older, recognize that they need to relinquish control of the operation, the decision-making process, to the next generation. And and there are some scenarios whereby maybe Grandpa and Grandma didn't feel they could afford to retire, and so that has kept them involved in a longer-term situation. But yet, there again, I am in my mid-60s, and there are a lot of farmers in my age bracket that now have children that are 30 and 40 years old that are there, fully capable of taking over the operation, and yet there's still this problem. How are we going to transfer the property, not only from mom and dad to their child, but from grandpa and grandma to the middle generation and then to the following generation? And so it takes some very nimble estate tax planning, to be honest about it. And certainly every time we make some changes in tax law, that sort of forces them back to the attorney's office to say, is this still applicable for our situation? And every situation is going to vary.
True, because there's any number of farms and commodities and lifestyles and all of that. So before we started, we were talking a little bit about the family farm versus investor-owned farms, and you were telling me that many farmers now are renting their land because they can't afford to buy it. So as we close this conversation, just talk a little bit about some of the challenges that are facing our, quote, family farms today.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes people want to automatically poo-poo or badmouth investor-owned ag real estate. And it's not a bad thing. Now, sometimes investors want to come in and they want to operate and they want to do it all. But many times investors wind up leasing their property to the farmer next door, or they lease it to, maybe they've already renting property to a farmer, and that farmer's child wants to get into farming and they lease it to them. We need a certain amount of property owned for rental purposes out there to help our people get started, because quite frankly, they can't afford to make that kind of investment and get started in farming.
Senator Bill Weber, I want to thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Thank you.